All right, so today we're going to be talking about linking verbs per request from my sister. Linking verbs are more formally known as copulae or copulas, okay? Copulas, things that connect, right? That connect a subject to a description, which can be variously called a predicate, right? Or more specifically in this case, a subject complement, because we can use a predicate to describe any verbal part of a sentence, whether that verb is an action verb, or as we're going to see in these cases, whether that verb be a linking verb. All right, so very basically, we use linking verbs as a way to describe what things are, how they appear to us, and what qualities they have. The big sort of special distinction about linking verbs is they are verbs that do not describe an action being undertaken by the subject, right? So you can maybe think of some simple comparisons, okay? Tom smelled the flowers, right? The verb to smell is being used as an action verb there, right? To describe what Tom is doing, right? He is using his senses to smell, okay, the scent of the flowers. However, if we say Tom smells like flowers, we have turned that verb smell into a linking verb to describe some quality of Tom. Far and away, the most common and the most useful linking verb is this verb to be, right, which we use to say what things are, what they're like, and also where they are located, sort of in space and time, right? And the terminology to refer to these three different ways in which we can follow up a linking verb, okay? These terms are predicate nouns, predicate adjectives, right? And predicate prepositional phrases. These are three different types of complements that we can attach to a subject to describe it, right? Predicate nouns and predicate adjectives, I think, are pretty straightforward and intuitive, even for younger students. Right? I can use a predicate noun to say what something is, okay? Very simply, that is a rock, right? I am a teacher, right? He is a man. Right? We can also use adjectives, right, to describe the quality of something. She is funny. He is tall. The dog is angry. The third and probably least intuitive, but I think still pretty easy to understand complement that we can attach after a linking verb is a predicate prepositional phrase, right, which prepositions are used to locate things in space and time in relation to each other, right? They are behind the gymnasium. Don't know what they're doing there, but get back to school, kids, right? That was over my head, right? He is upstairs. Right. All right. If you look down here below, okay, at the final three examples, right, I've given you three examples of ways in which words that are not, okay, to be verbs can be used as linking verbs or copula. And these three examples are all words that can also be action words, right? But we can convert them and we can use them to describe our perception of things. This food tastes gross. She looks unhappy. I feel uncomfortable, right? And consider the differences here between, okay, so the food tastes gross versus I taste the food, right? I taste the food, taste is an action verb, but if I'm using taste in sort of the inverted sense to describe the food that I just tasted, it becomes a linking verb, right? She looked at me, right? Would be using look as an action verb. But if I say she looks unhappy, I'm now using it as a linking verb, right, to describe my perception, right, my impression, right, of this person I'm describing. I feel uncomfortable describes a state I am in. Right? I am not literally reaching out and touching something named uncomfortable. Right? It's describing a state that I am in. Right? So the sort of best way to conceptualize linking verbs, again, is to think of them as ways in which you can describe what something is, right, how it appears, or sort of a mental perception or experience that you're having. Right? What happens with linking verbs is we take the action of the verb and we're putting it inside our own sort of mental headspace. Right? We are using verbs to describe our thought processes, right? And usually how we are processing sensory perception, right? rather than describing an action that something in the physical world is doing. And so that's a sort of higher level conceptual way to think about it. You can look up lists of words that can be used as copulas or linking verbs. Also, if you're interested, you can look at some other languages and see examples of different ways that non-English languages link subjects to complements. But I think this is a pretty good basic overview, right, of what's going on with linking verbs, also known as copulas. So hopefully that is helpful. All right, love you, Shelley. Hope it helps. Ciao for now.